A very good noon to Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Dr. Atul Chauhan Sir, all the dignitaries, faculties, staff members, students, and esteemed attendees, and a very special warm welcome to our esteemed guest, Mr. Anuj Jain, Managing Director, Accenture. It is our pleasure and honor to welcome you all to our Leadership Summit Momentum 2020 on the theme India Inc. 2030 Role of Industry and Academia. I, Randeep Kaur, Placement Officer, would like to take this opportunity to introduce our guest speaker. Sir is the Managing Director for Accenture Advanced Technology Center Interactive Services and has over 24 years of experience in the various domains like designing, managing, and marketing innovative solutions for visual, interactive, and print media across various industries. He is a business leader and leads Accenture's interactive business strategy and vision. Sir is having various industrial experiences in banking, insurance, publishing, product and resources, health and public services, communication and media. Sir is an engineer graduate from Jain Vyas University, Jodhpur, and a management graduate from Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai. He is also a certified content practitioner within the Association for Intelligent Information Management, and he is also a licensed and certified Amazon Web Services cloud practitioner. Sir, once again, a very warm welcome to you and would like to invite for the deliberations, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Randeep. I'm really delighted to be here. First of all, I want to thank all the dignitaries here. I've been listening to the talk since morning, and I'm really amazed by my co-speaker in the last session. Very impactful speech. Very impressive. The way he narrated his anecdotal journey and how he come about. And I think this is a fantastic platform, not only for all the students, the faculties, in fact, even for the the speakers like us who come from various aspects of the industry. So really delighted to be here and thankful for this opportunity. Before I begin, I know that it was a long introduction for me about what I've done over the course of years, but there are three things which I want you to remember about me. I was born in 1976 back in Rajasthan, a city called Ajmer. I also have actually been part of at least three industry at minimum, I would say. I was in manufacturing to begin my career because primarily I'm an industrial engineer. I actually went on to work in a shipping industry for almost a course of 4 years. And then finally, last 20 years, I've been into IT industry, which is part of various services, product, and again, now the management consulting firm like Accenture. So it's a long career, almost 25 years. And then the third aspect, which is most important, I have a family of a 16-year boy who's a teenage, and I'm sure the people probably who are senior to me here, they will understand what a teenage to have in the house. And then also have a 9-year-old daughter who at this point of time already believes that she's a teenager, the way she already preparing for herself. So managing both of these kids as well as your work during these times I think is one of the most important aspect of our lives, which has become, and in many ways is also every day shaping us. How do we strike the balance? How do we look forward to a start of the day and eventually deliver what is expected out of us? So for that, I will probably start what is I'm here to talk about. It's all about the why the industry and the academia, what is the importance that these two really come together to deliver um, some of the most important collaboration aspect, which we see that can eventually can lead to shaping up the future. Students and this discussion, if you to really believe, I'm sure a lot of you might be aware of some of the very common name in the industry. Very recently, Arogya Setu app, um, the entire research around the COVID-related vaccines, which is happening some part of, I think, various countries. I mean, I can name Russia, United States leading the pack. Even in India, there are 3+ trials which is going on at various stages. And I'm not sure whether if you have noticed if these are familiar names and many more, right? I think some of the names my co-speaker also, my previous speaker also talked about it, likes of the Microsofts, Apple of the world, Google of the world. They were all actually started in the various form and shape with the either the when the people were still part of the very much their learning journey within universities, or right after the university when they started it, like so likes of Airbnbs and others. But what I'm trying to establish here is what is the most common thread in this. It is where a lot of these things are actually was a brainchild of somebody's actually taking a leap very early stage in their career with the very clear cut conviction and having some mentorship and co-partnership with the industry, right? And why I say that so if you take the Oxford Medicines, which is being right now in the final stages and probably maybe ahead of the game in terms of providing a response to the COVID-19, which is actually originated in Oxford. This whole research is happening in the Oxford University, right? And which is where we see a lot of benefits are emerging in terms of how we see that industry, the best of the talent and the scientific research which is being carried out in the university with the innovation mindset of the industry. Those of these things are coming in to deliver the outcome in the shortest possible time frame. Most importantly, that why we think that it is more so important during these times. So I don't know how many of you, because I'm thinking most of you probably must have been in the school when the last time world witnessed the recession. It was back then in 2008, and if you see during those time, if we see most of the organization which we see is emerged out of in last 10 years in the global 100, the top 100 companies, some of them, at least I would say 10% of those organizations actually initiated or started or founded during that Great Depression time of 2008. I can name few. If you want to go back and really read about it, some of those names probably would be WhatsApp in 2009. You have the next one in the list is Groupon, which is in 2008. The next is Instagram, which is in 2010, so just about a year when the recession happened. Uber, which is like pretty much we carry around, and it technically changed the way we actually consume the entire logistic industry. That was also formed in 2009. So what I'm trying to establish here is that it is the very same period in 2020 when we witness, which is very, very unprecedented and had really grieved so many business, so many people, and touches many different aspects of our lives. It is also a tremendous opportunity for an industry on academia to co-create, co-innovate many of these things, many of these type of projects. And if you just see in this last 10 decades, there has been an explosion of number of research in in the academia as well as in the industries. I think there has never been such an unprecedented number of patent filings in various aspects of technology. I think technology probably has been leading this pack for. I think if I have to really say without hesitation, in last 10 years, the technology advancement has been at the forefront, and that is driving and reshaping the way business is being actually carried forward to great aspect. And I'm sure in the coming years, when we talk about or we imagine the post-COVID era, I think technology will take the forefront, will take the front driver's seat and reshape the way we conduct business. The very fabric of business may not change, but it will definitely leverage or harness the way of conducting business much more profound way um, with the help of technology. So, um, so what has been happening? Companies which have been reducing their spending in early stage research for last couple of years or decades, and those were, I think, some of those were mostly the life sciences and pharma companies, because that industry, if data to believe, they were not really doing a great deal till the time the COVID strike. They have been now increasingly turning to university to perform that role. They're seeking the access to their best scientific and engineering minds and specific domains, and now faced with lot more stringent regulations, governance from the government, and now the only way they can actually look at it, they expect that the local economies, universities, they need to come forward to really contribute here. So now, instead of these one-off projects, which has been the mindset before pre-COVID era, now it is the time when both sides they have become much more interested in forging long-term partnership, collaborative relationship, and both side faces similar type of obstacle, especially when it comes to navigate non-disclosure agreements, creating a flexible but constructive master research agreement that accounts for potential intellectual property rights, right? So I think this is where I see both of these needs to converge. So I would probably base my conversation um, on the premise of industry and academia are one, and that's why we need to collaborate. This is a powerful phrase by Idris Jujosh. He is the former Minister of Education in Malaysia. And with that, the premise, I actually prescribe almost a model to how to approach this collaboration. There are 8 pillars to it. Number one, companies which are really or truly interested in doing the research or R&D, they need to definitely look at the setting up their R&D centers near the talent. And I mean, we don't need to go too far. I mean, if you really see it in India, the Bangalore has been at the forefront of majority of these research activities. If you really see it, is largely because of the Bangalore or the southern India was an epicenter of a lot of higher education institution as well. And if you go to Silicon Valley, the similar is the case, where I think a lot of companies, they establish their R&D centers very close to, the University of Stanford and California's and all of that, right? Likewise, if we really talk about the regional entrepreneurship, if we talk about the organization which is emerging in the various part of the countries, if they are really looking for the research activities to be carried out, they really need to base their R&D centers near these universities, or universities like MITs, which is like a very powerful brand, have access to almost about 150,000 plus student, and each of those campuses are probably have the best of the brains in that particular city or region. Then the next one is we really need to get into the mindset of seeding the early stage research. Catch them young, catch the idea young, catch the talented young, and really build upon those. That's the second most important mantra, because if that is not done, by the time we take it to the market and we try to really develop it, and it's too late. Instead of just monitoring an early stage research at the university and pouncing when something of interest happens to emerge, most of the companies, they need to seed in the areas which interest to them, and and they need to sponsor PhD student for those reasons without getting directly involving into the purely from the academia side of it. So a more attractive model which is emerging is the company funds or co-funds some of these research in students, postdoctoral research, studying difficult scientific problems or new areas of technology of interest to the companies. I think the way we have really seen is again and again, if something promising emerges, then more funding is forthcoming, either directly from the companies or we are a collaborative portal to a government agency by the university or the company. I think both of these things are possible for that front. The next one is, which I want to go, is we need to really, as in both of these institutions of importance, we need to really cultivate institutions, not just individuals. So what does it mean is, typically companies have pursued one-off projects. Now more durable cooperative models are the need of the hour, which enables companies to remain connected to the institutions in order to foster long-term research relationship. For instance, I mean, if you really see it, again, going back to the healthcare example, because it is more and more contextual at this point of time. So Philips Healthcare, they moved to Boston, and they get to know and meet several members of the Boston University Schools of Engineering faculty. Soon thereafter, they started a multi-year funding program, which are actually fundamental sciences and personalized medicine. Then they had a licensing agreement negotiated with the university. They had emergent IPs to be converted into a product, and over the period of time, and would revert the sole ownership by the university. So I think there can be multiple such examples, or the negotiation templates can be available, but it is between the university and the industry to really look at it and see where and how they want to approach it. The next one is, the companies really need to look beyond the usual suspect. The companies also recognize that the top talent is not just confined to the just handful of the cities and handfuls of the schools. And this is where I see the campuses like Patna or Jaipur, or maybe a few other places which Amity has instituted, is actually taps into the talent which is also coming in from these part of the country, or these part of the, because talent is pervasive. It is not centralized to, if you really see the entire human race evolution, it is not centralized to one region and one part of the world. I mean, even the world is coming to recognize now that the extreme proud about the way the Western world has emerged over the course of last 200 years. They came to come around and now realize that India is really moving, and it is becoming an epicenter of the best of the talent. If you really go and look at it, many companies in the world, top 10, top 50, top hundreds, are now being headed by Indians, or at least in their senior leadership roles, there is a prominent position has been taken of that. So the world has come to believe that the future of these large organization or scaled organization, or even for that matter, some of the most cutting edge startup organization, they need to really tap the talent from across the world, from many geographies, and so does at this point of time I have to believe that the college universities and their locations are of utmost importance, and really company needs to come forward to really show interest in the researching activities and tap into the rich resources which universities they offer. So, for instance, a few year ago, another a CPG organization, consumer and fast moving consumer goods company, they were modeling and simulating centers for product development at the they developed something in the very close to University of Cincinnati, which is a Midwest, very deep rooted in it, rather than always the research has been a brainchild of, or mostly has been institutionalized in the west or east coast of the US. But just in the 2015, the University of, they co-mentored many of these co-creation of the dedicated HIV cure centers, jointly owned new companies, and discover a cure for HIV and AIDS to a large extent. The new cutting edge research is actually coming out of that. The next one, the both of these things, they need to find common grounds for non-disclosure, which is where I did talk about it. I think the way in non-disclosure is often approached is it continue to be a stumbling block for both cooperation between these two entities, and sometime I mean, if you really see it from the university point of view, they always want to really look at it that the IPs which is being filed, what kind of values to be attached to that, versus an organization always feels that each of these research actually requires to be further enhanced. There are many research and patents come together to deliver one single product. So there is always a conflict between these two to really see that, how do we sign those agreements and employ a general language that appears to restrict and pose a lot of problems for both of these entities to work together. Moving on to next, we also renegotiate in the good faith. In many cases, a patent might be embedded into a complex device that companies have under several other patents. For example, several hundred patents go into building one Apple iPhone device, right? So we can't say that because we have one patent or two patents, that will really turn into a very powerful and a meaningful product, which can probably pull a good amount of revenue generating opportunities for both of either for the organization, which is very, very cost sensitive, at the same time for the university, which is a lot more actually looking at to create the values. I think there will be a combination of many of those patents, and they can come from many aspects of the previous work which has been done. So there has to be a good faith, a leap of faith, which they have to really do it. And the last one, which is bridging the cultural divide. The distinction between commercial development and early stage research had always been seen as a defining difference between the value of corporate culture and university culture. The bottom line versus advancing knowledge and training to the next generation of scientists without regard to the profit. In recent years, however, both sides have moved very close together and meeting somewhere in the middle as their mission have evolved. So I want to pretty much close this on one statement. Research is a process which actually converts the money into knowledge, right? I think, and that's where the education institute like Amity, it plays a significant role, because it requires money to really fund those research, and you will create a knowledge which can be basically patented or something which you can reference in the future. Versus if you come from the organization perspective or company's perspective, which actually put a lot of emphasis on innovation, it is a factor of converting that knowledge into money, right? That's the classic combination into do. So one is actually in the pursuit of creating that knowledge. Another is in the pursuit of in the combination of innovation and this research. They're trying to pursue and follow the money. There need to be striking a balance, and there are various models available. There is immense, a great opportunity lies ahead for both of these very, very fundamental part of any growing economies like us. I think in the morning session, I heard the four pillars of any nation building activities: government, civil service societies, business, and the fourth dimension is definitely the education institutes and academia, because that's where the talent comes from. Um, I think the last two really play an immense role to really move a country like us to really be the uh, a 5 trillion economies, which what we are actually geared towards. So I'll take a pause. It's about 30 minutes. I want to really keep sufficient time for students who really have any questions for me. I will be happy to answer.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative and a very insightful session. And I'm very much sure our students today they have a lot of takeaways from this session, and they are actually ready for a lot of questions to you, sir. So I will request to take up the questions now. So my co-host, my co-moderator, Mr. Professor Abhishek Chaudhary. Sir, may I request you to please take up the questions?
Sure, ma'am. And
Thank
thank
you.
you for
Thank you,
such
sir.
insightful guest lecture, sir. It is an absolute honor to you host you. Let me just call upon our student Saurav Kesari for his first question. Please.
Very good afternoon, sir. I am Saurabh Keshri from MB department. Sir, my question is, sir, as this year Accenture has been ranked 279 on the Fortune Global 500 list, so what are the core values which help the organization to manage such a prestigious position in these pandemic times? Thank you, sir.
Okay, so Saurabh, great question. And may I know what subjects you are studying in your program?
Subjects like sir,
I mean, what is your major?
so my major is finance and minor is marketing.
Okay. So, so like any other organization, I think Accenture put an immense amount of emphasis on the individual behaviors and the core values. I think that is the foundation for any organization like Accenture. Most important, I think, which any business to really focus on is number one, which is the client value creation. That is the paramount of importance. I can't really stress upon that, because for with a single mindset of really growing the revenue and profits for the shareholders, the client to become the extreme, and have the client centricity is of the extreme importance. So high performance businesses creating long-term relationship with the customers, being responsive and relevant consistently for delivering that value. That's the number one. The second one, because of our scale of a business, we are a global network. So when I say global network, um, we have presence into multiple markets across the world, across the geos. Not only we are connecting with our customers in these markets as a relationship team, as a sales team, but also we are setting and institutionalizing a number of delivery centers, which is probably in a very rudimentary term, you can say those production facilities, right? Which is where the work can happen, because client can have varied needs, right? They have a need of that. They want to have a localized production to be done. They want a offshore production to be done. They want a combination of those two, because various cost model can emerge. So we are a global network team. We are leveraging the power of these relationship, collaboration, and learning. And going back to the same point which I made in my talk is tapping the talent where we feel that we found them young, we found them passionate, and they bring the best of the skills to the table, right? So that is the second most aspect. The third one is the respect for the individual. I think that is again extremely important. Valuing the diversity, unique contributions, fostering a trust, open and inclusive environment, and treating each person in a manner that reflects those values. So that is the core aspect, because this is what makes everybody to come and work for, right? I mean, as an organization. So we look up to the organization every morning when we get up. We feel that we are connected to this a common cause, and feel motivated to come and work. And finally, uh, which probably also alluding that is the best of the people, attracting, developing, and retaining the best talent for our business, challenging our people, demonstrating a can-do attitude, and fostering a collaborative and supportive environment. I think some of these values are are is actually driving it. I will just add two more to it. Is one is the integrity of doing the business. So ethical, unyielding, and honest and inspiring trust is at most important in our conduct. And the last one is the stewardship, fulfilling our obligation of building a better and stronger, durable companies for future generations. Because this all ties it back to our brand, um, meeting our commitment to the stakeholders, and have a mental a ownership mentality, right? Any business we do it. So in my role, I'm a managing director, so I have a responsibility of owning up my own business, ensuring that the commitment which I'm at the start of the year which I'm making, I'm actually living up to that. Inspire the team to really work towards that common cause, and eventually, um, you know, track and control, monitor them, and see that we deliver to that purpose. So that's the fifth one.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for answering him, sir. And I have one more student who is eager to ask you a question. Uh, I would like to call upon Shafali. Can you please ask your question?
Thank you, sir. A very good afternoon, sir. Thank you for giving us your precious time, and you're definitely going to help us in our career. I'm Shifali from MBA department. My question is that, sir, Accenture has come up with more than 3,300 vacancies in India. So I would like to know that what are the skills the organization is more focused upon in new hiring process.
So Shafali, um, I would say difficult question. Don't want to go to the numbers of vacancies in the market by Accenture. Rather, I would paint you a very generic industry picture to you. Very interestingly, especially in technology world, if you really see it, everybody thought that the COVID is on the door. The business is actually hit hard. Many of the businesses are struggling to really either survive. Many of the businesses are actually shut down, and they are waiting for the normalcy to return. But at the same time, there are immense opportunities which has emerged for new organization to really shape up, right? If you see the whole licenses pharma companies are having a fresh breath of life. Many of the new manufacturing facilities has been set up to really as a PPE kits and others, and few other models which are emerging, right? And the whole supply chain distribution disruption which has happened now, causing for us to really read things, right? So one side there is a huge challenge. On the other side, if you see the new opportunity, new dimension, so it's a balancing act which is emerging, right? And I'm not saying that we have returned back to the normalcy. I don't think there will be the same normalcy. Maybe there will be a new normalcy which we'll achieve. But more specifically for the technology industry, there has been a silver lining, right? Um, I remember month of March where the organization were doing extremely good. We were right on our growth trajectory. I know for my own business that I was almost hitting about 12% growth. And I was very confident to go and hit 20% growth just for my business. Think about it. Accenture, probably the global, they might probably looking at actually hitting maybe somewhere 10% or what's not. But I'm not talking specifically about just Accenture in general. This was a story everywhere else. But then there was a negative sentiment. Nobody knew how the market will respond, how the client will respond, what will happen to their budgets, the project fundings, and all of that. So there was a pessimism in terms of all the talent related actions we were taking, right? Whether or not go ahead with the hiring. A lot of companies, I know Accenture didn't do it very specifically, but a lot of organization who actually rolled out the offers to the university candidates, engineering grads, MBA grads, wherever they hire from. Um, some few cases also their example they were not respected or they were deferred for the future, right? So when it comes to almost July, August time frame, it became very clear that the lockdown period is being opened up. The customers are now become resilient in terms of not only customers. I mean, I'm saying the economies, the countries, the government, the whole system became resilient about that we need to co-live with the COVID-19 situation with this pandemic, right? So everybody's talking about, I mean, if you look around us, everybody is talking about it. Let's co-live with this. While we have to we still safeguard us from the day-to-day risk of getting impacted or getting infected by these viruses and also our near and dear ones. But at the same time, people are also saying that the business should go on, the life should move as usual. You can see people on the road and everywhere, right? So that attitude has resulted back in the industry where we found that customers started to invest their energies in actually making their systems more strengthened. They are trying to make them more robust. They are trying to scale their businesses, looking at that this is an opportunity because it's a level field now. Think about it. I'm just giving an example. Many of a large tours and travel industries, many of those large banking companies, many of those large auto companies, they are finding it's a level field now where the market will open up. You don't have the first mover advantage anymore. You don't have those advantages where you said that, okay, we have been doing this business from last 20 years because everybody has probably come to maybe either near zero or even maybe many a times a negative business. So when it is opens up, anybody who will actually start and put their first foot forward in terms of more robust way to really bring their product and services at the forefront to their customer, they will get benefited. So it is very clear that now organization wants to invest more and more on the technology platforms. They want to automate more and focus on more so on the business and less optimize their basically their operation, bring in their operational efficiencies. And that is what resulting in now the entire technology sector is actually booming up. There are more demand in the system. We are seeing across the board, it's not only Accenture, every industry is actually, every company is gearing up for the high job vacancies. They're looking for talent, and more so because they did not do in the March to July or August timeframe those hirings. And maybe many of organization also probably let go few of those people based on whether it's a performance basis or based on their budget cuts or for various reasons. Now they are struggling to really deliver the client commitment. Client is expecting them to commitment. That's the reason there is an uptick of overall hiring. So that is my first response to those 33 plus jobs you talked about. It is not only for Accenture, everywhere. Number one. The second thing is what skills? So the plain and simple answer, one liner is it's across all skills, because for the very reason that the way I've established it, because every sector, every skill, every application is actually bound to attract this momentum. and we are seeing there is a all-round demand rising in the industry. So you can come from Java, .NET, business analysis, your analytics, marketing. You can talk about the new age, cutting edge skills like somebody has learned artificial intelligence, blockchains, machine learning, even digital commerce, CMS system, ECM system, does not matter now. I mean, we are seeing a demand everywhere. So all you need to do is at this point of time um, is stay focused, and have the depth on your respective areas of your learning, and take a leap of faith that are good times ahead for the business to really come in and actually hire these talents.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So, sir, now I would like to call our another student, um, Shelly. Shelly, can you please unmute your mic?
Yes, ma'am.
Please ask your question, Shelly.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Shali from MBA department. So my question is, Accenture 360-degree value creation is an action for the next generation hyper-connected living. So, sir, how intelligently orchestrated future homes can yield economic success?
Very interesting. So yeah, I think this is more in the future dimensions if you look at it, because I think right before the COVID area, we were talking about it, the inception of 5G and how it is going to change, because the computing is now becoming cheap and more powerful, and it is pervasive. It's in everybody's hand. So, and more so now, COVID, if you really see it, has brought us back from our office spaces to home, right? So home will be the new place of action. So as this global pandemic has necessitated, our home has become a new digital hub, as important as your mobile devices, right? I think if you see
Yes,
all around us in the homes, we have those devices which there is a need to stay connected around the clock all the time. So the future home in the 5G era provides a look into the window of how consumer lives will change tomorrow, and a roadmap for companies to make 5G hyper-connected living a reality when we need it most, right? So it shows how the future aim enabled 5G, cloud, security, AI, edge computing, and more. It can all provide very, very personalized services, work from home, distance learning, healthcare, immersive entertainment. I mean, we all know the spurt of OTT platforms, which is now actually rising up, and the way we are consuming content is unprecedented. Advanced aging care, and also while also yielding economic successes for businesses. So the future home is a powerful services ecosystem that will be a quantum leap from today's fragmented smart home technology, effectively extending the boundaries of the home even beyond the traditional bounds of physical, to ultimately make consumer feel at home anywhere, right? That's the way we see it. I think device to device connected, any of those, your washing machine, your air conditioning system, your TVs, all of they will participate to augment your living, because all of these will start interconnecting with each other, and you will have a mechanism to really control all of these things sitting anywhere, whether you're in home or you're on the road. Um, you will be able to leverage their services. So I think we are actually moving in that era fairly fast, more so now, because home is become an important element, as opposed to how the office spaces used to command. I think more and more time we are spending at home. So there is a need for home to really become the epicenter of all the economic activities as well, because home never actually contributed so much when we talk about our work per se. but home is now the new workplace for us. So, and this is going to stay here. Um, I really doubt, even if you go back and into the post-COVID era, um, it will still continue to remain a very, very important element to actually contribute in the economic activity.
Thank you, sir.
Very true, sir. So, thank you so much, sir, for such an in-depth question, this answer of this question. So, I would like to call our another student to ask the question. We have Sapna. Sapna, may I request you to please unmute your mic and ask the question?
Hello, ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, Sapna, very much you are audible. Please ask your question.
I think there is network issues. Sabna, please ask your
Hello.
question.
Okay.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Very good afternoon, sir. I am Sapna Kumari from Amity Law School. So my question is, sir, since the company is operating globally, so in what context Indian market is different from those of global markets?
So, since you are a law student, Sapna, this is as different as the global laws and the Indian laws. I would say that, so they both work in tandem. They adapt and they learn from each other. I mean, so if you are a law student, and I'm sure whenever you are doing a Indian law study, there is always a reference to how a similar type of a particular law, when it was enacted, must have taken a clue from somewhere, either in the global situation or global setting, how the other countries have responded to that, and a possible ramification because of that. And when you bring it in the Indian context, what happens, right? So in the similar way, if you look at it, the global market, uh, immediate thing which comes when we talk about global market is either is United States, which is the largest economy, or a combination of economy, which is Europe. And then we have a third element, which is the growth market economies, right? These are the three major economies which comes to deliver, and which is from where the Indian market also learns. Um, the difference between these two is, when you talk about the mature markets, their ability to really consume the product and services. One is so there are two aspects. One is the designing of those services, then to productionizing those services, and then eventually delivering those services. Has an element of it goes through the cycle, and it has an element of that, how they make it more and more. um, they play on both sides of it. They play on the side of whether they need to do the manipulation, or they need to do the more of an inspirational rollout of that. So when I say manipulation, in the sense, um, these product and services, they always have an element of how these will be marketed to the consumers, in terms of the product abilities and their features. And sometimes these product and features, probably they are um, built to deliver those values, and sometimes we've also seen they're falling short of it, right? But on the other side, you also have examples like Apple, which is very, very inspirational organization, and they can continue to create value year after year. They have a strong presence of their loyalists, the people who they find themselves continuously engaged and attached to this brand, and they completely put their trust upon. I think when we talk about India as a market, we are still pretty much driven by that manipulative practices, in terms of it is in the hand of organization to how well those marketings are being done, how well they are actually uh, rolling out these surveys, how rapidly they are rolling out these product and services, and then based on those, a complete investment cloud is being created, and it is like burden the entire system, whether it is your different channels. It could be your web channel, your mobile channel, your OTT channels, and we are bombarded with those offerings. What is still yet to be see in Indian market is a very strong brand being emerging, which all we can put faith on. So I think if you go back in the history, probably Tata had that brand value, and I mean they still does. I'm not really taking that away, that credit from them. That when people put a lot of trust upon it, that it is something is being created by Tata, I'm sure there is a minimum expectation you attach to. But other than that, I think, and maybe to some extent, I would say Birlas of the world, but it's, other than that, I think there are not many names which emerges which has actually commanded the very high value, high loyalty type of really, commitment or the purpose being defined there. I think India needs to really move up that value chain, really make those commitment to the consumers and deliver to those expectation, versus the whole purpose about selling those products and services at scale, collecting those revenues, and keep actually churning out one product after another and another, which may or may not be really fulfilling the kind of expectation or the quality expectation which market really deserve and expect. So that's the classic difference which I see it. If you really talk to me without getting into more how each of the organization conduct themselves, what ethical practices are being followed and all, I don't want to really get to that point, because every organization have their reason, and the reason is always to really for any businesses to be that to generate profits and revenues. But in the hindsight, what really is the differentiation between that? Are you really creating a cloud of those manipulation, or you are really trying to create a very long lasting relationship with your consumer to achieve that north star of those brand? I think it plays out between these two.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And now we'll take up the last question. So the last question is Pratap.
Yes,
Pratap,
ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
good morning, Vitan. Please ask your question.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Pratap Singh, and I'm a BC student. The question I'm having is how Accenture is reinventing digital transformation through Industry 4.0.
Again, fantastic and very much aligning to the future of home questions to a great extent, because the industry X.0 is also the footprint is also quite visible at that place. So Accenture is at the forefront of actually bringing the and delivering the digital transformation and changing the digital landscape with Industry X.0. So that framework that underpins the digital reinvention of industry through which organization leverage advanced digital technologies to transform their core business operations, right? So you can talk about agile manufacturing. I think it's been talked everywhere. We are talking about and more cloud play, which is coming in for every aspect of manufacturing, supply chain system, logistic companies. Everywhere we are seeing that there is a better way of actually predictability, data collection, generating those insights, and base those insights moving up to the next best action upfront, right? So this entire thing is coming to deliver an approach that uses the advanced technology to reinvent these products and services, from design and engineering to manufacturing support, operational efficiencies, and overall enterprise-wide growth. So the traditional value chain will now pivot more towards the hyper-personalized experience, product and services driven by continuous innovation of the business model to generate the new source of revenues. I think that the crux of it for the industry X.O, and you will find the every aspect of from any industry you talk about it, whether you're talking about CPG industries, you're talking about resources industry, which is oil and gas industries, retail shops, very important, right? I mean, because these retail organization now they are seeing that no more the physical stores will come to deliver this value. I mean, I'll just give you a classic example, very total example. We are working with Shopper Stop as a organization, and just before COVID, their online channel sale was 10 lakh rupees a month. Think about it, for an organization which is like a multi-crore, maybe I think their market cap may be more than 5,000 crores plus. To expect a 10 lakh rupees a day revenue, it's like minuscule amount, because they were so busy in actually collecting these revenue from the physical stores across the country, right? And they come to realize that the lockdown happened, and this entire revenue is actually went down to zero. They woke up, they took the immediate measures, a partnership was forged between us and them, and finally can come to deliver that, where they are seeing that this is actually now really significantly increase their online channel presence. I think their daily revenues has now reached from there to probably 100 crores plus, and they are now realizing that the digital presence is as equal importance as what they felt was the physical stores are. So this is the new model we are talking about. This is the new opportunity we are talking about for even the established brands like Shopper Stop, and every industry now at that pivotal point to get that achieved.
Thank you very much, sir. After listening to you, we are very sure that Accenture's contribution will help bringing the fourth industrial revolution, which will be as impactful as the previous industrial revolutions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pratap.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering the questions of our students. And now I would like to request my co-host, Professor Abhishek Chaudhary, to present a vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And good afternoon to all our honorable dignitaries, faculty members, students, and a very good afternoon to our honorary guest, Mr. Anuj Jain. I would just like to say that your speech and the interaction were inspiring, not only for our students, but everyone who are present here today. I thank Mr. Anuj Jain for sparing his most valuable time and sharing with us such experiences and knowledge. Your kind presence in this program encouraged us a lot and made us more confident in our endeavors. It is actually a great pleasure to host you at our Leadership Summit Momentum 2020. Your suggestions have provided us with guidance to proceed more precisely for the betterment of this institution and its noble causes. So, on behalf of everyone from MIT University Patna, I would like to thank you again, and we hope that this kindness and cooperation will remain and continue to prosper in the future. And I would like to thank all the participants who have joined this grand event, making it more and more successful. So now the next session will start very soon by Professor Mubashir Sir Alam, and please stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Anuj ji, thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vivek. Thank you for giving me opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.